Wow, so Victoria, I'm so happy to have you here on the show. Victoria Zimmer, everyone. And Victoria and I met in Ecuador during the first stint of my 300-hour training at Durga's Tiger School for Tantra Yoga and Shamanism. And Victoria, you were finishing up were you there for 200 or 300 hours for that one?
Hi, Heather. Happy to be here. Yes, I was finishing my 200-hour Tantra Yoga course. So I've done my Hatha Yoga before, previously in India a few years back. But I decided to dive into Tantra, and Durga Tiger School was my first entry. So when we met with you, I was at the end of the 200-hour course.
And yes, welcome, Victoria, on the show. So happy to have you here. You're tuning in from South Africa.
Yes, from Cape Town. Sunny, but not so warm at this moment. It's wintertime here.
Better for being on a podcast then.
Absolutely. Indoors with the heating on.
And a beautiful pink glow behind you, a beautiful pink aura.
Absolutely. Well, I like to be with my aura.
So let's take a step back for everyone listening, and I would love for you to share your experience of yoga and what yoga has meant for you from an experience standpoint personally, and now how these trainings have come into play for you.
Absolutely. So basically, I got introduced to yoga over 10 years ago. Based on what I listen and hear from other people, yoga attracted me for the physicality of it first. So initially I tried yoga in America, where it was all about power yoga and the way your body looks and feels. So, and then as the universe has it, I had to teach yoga as part of my work on board of the cruise ships. So it was part of my training, and I've undergone the fitness-based yoga. So by that time, I've known about yoga, tried it a little bit, but haven't had much connection with it. So I thought it was too slow or, too strenuous. So based on the different teachers. So, and then as I started practicing and teaching it actually to the passengers on board as personal trainer, I started to feel my body differently, and certain parts of the philosophy that I was also teaching has made a huge impact of my own mindset. So, and I've decided to explore it a little bit more. So I went to India a couple of times, I've done my certification on the Hatha Yoga. So I just continue to explore and explore and explore. And basically, yoga, from being a physical exercise, as you can say, being part of the personal training program, has become to me more of a way of life. Yes, a lifestyle. So I've definitely started to explore more of the spiritual aspect of yoga, the way it made me feel about myself, about the world, about my purpose in this world, the way it healed my body, and it helped me to understand myself, to become more accepting and forgiving and kind towards my body. So, and because I do work as a holistic personal trainer with women, a lot of the times I come across the fact that they feel very disconnected from their body, and everything that they have, like all the problems that they come from their mind, so from the mindset. So, and yoga helps me to kind of breach that mind and body connection for them. So I started to use yoga asanas, meditations, breathing techniques to help them connect to the body from the mind, like from a more mindful perspective, rather than just, this is my body. I just need to eat right and train well and everything is going to be fine. So, and basically, as the journey goes, seeing the results on myself, seeing the results on others, I just continue to explore. And most recently, I've dived, about a couple of years ago, I've dived into Tantra Yoga. And the reason Tantra Yoga kind of invited me into its own realm is because of the non-dogmatic philosophy and the philosophy of experiencing life and being in your blissful nature. So, and I've completed the course with you in the Durga's Tiger School. And then after that, I just recently, just over a month ago, came back from Thailand, where I've completed my 300-hour Tantra Yoga course. So, which allowed me to deepen my experience and had a lot of shifts happening in myself So, and now more and more I feel confident that I want to share the information about yoga with as many people as possible. And as it goes right now, yoga, as a lot of things, when they go out in public, they become misinterpreted, or everybody adds a little bit of their own, experience to it, which is nothing wrong with it. But sometimes I feel like it loses the essence of what it is. So, and, yoga has so much to offer from a physical aspect, from a mindful aspect, but also from the understanding of your life. So, and overcoming things like depression, anxiety, eating disorders, and so on. But it goes much deeper than that as well. So, and I know that you know what I'm talking about. So.
Yes, I do. Yes, and speaking of Thailand and the work that you do, so you are originally from Russia and you're based out of London at the moment, but are in South Africa and you travel around the world. So, how has travel played a part in your own personal development as well as the work that you do with women all over the world?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking, Heather. Yes, so I like to say sometimes to people that I'm Russian-born, American-raised, and England-based. So because I have left Russia when I was 19, so which was over 15 years ago. And basically, travel has played a massive part in my life. It opened up my eyes to how much I have in my life, and how much I have to be grateful for in my life. Yeah. So, and basically every time when I travel, I go to different places, different countries, teaching the courses. I work with people coming from different backgrounds. Yeah, like for example, if you work with students in England, or you work with students in South Africa, they have different backgrounds and different relationship with the religion, a different relationship with food, with their bodies, their mindset are different. And also the way the world goes, like even if we compare America, England, and South Africa, like the information first goes to America, then it rolls to England very fast, and then it echoing very slowly to South Africa. So it's very interesting to be able to adapt the training, the way that I deliver the training in different countries because of those reasons. Yeah. So the level of understanding and the influence of the society, and just.
Wow, yeah, that's very fascinating because, we say this often, but as teachers, we learn just as much from our students as we are teaching them. So I'm sure that just gives you such interesting information to work in all of these different environments that as you're developing as a teacher and a healer, to just adapt the way that you're teaching and impacting your clients through all of those learnings. That's really, really interesting.
Absolutely. And especially like I think you've noticed on my website as well, I do put a lot of emphasis on women empowerment. So, and that's something that's very dear to me because I've been working on the volunteering projects in Peru and Ecuador and in South Africa as well. So, and basically for me, women empowerment is not just about empowering women who are in the, third world countries. It's about empowering every woman through the way we see each other. So, and a lot of these things, as I was saying, like, it's interestingly, but we would think that in the first world countries, women would feel more empowered, but they are not. So they actually feel like they need to compare, they need to succeed, they need to overachieve, is a very big, puts a lot of pressure on their shoulders. So, and I find that equally in every country there is room for empowerment, but in every country it's a different way of empowering. Somewhere you just need to allow them to reconnect with their feminine part, or feminine energy, whereas in other countries you just need to empower them through providing with different skill sets so that they can actually provide for their family. So, and I think through traveling you learn how to adjust or adapt your own attitude towards empowerment. And of course, through working with women, you allow yourself to feel empowered, but not to the point that you feel better or worse than others, but that you are part of the same community and you are on the same journey together.
Mm-hmm. And so you do that direct work with women. You also have that volunteering project. So what does that look like? Like what components are part of that project for you?
Mm. Well, at the moment, so what it is for me, so right now when I teach in let's say in England, the workshops that I do there, so they are donation-based workshops, and I also have workshops that I charge for, but the percentage of those workshops goes directly to the fund, which at the moment I'm the only one who's using it for reaching out to the volunteering projects in different countries where I can dedicate my time and money towards helping women. But I'm also trying to raise funds for sponsoring other trainers who I work with and women who want to contribute their time. So let's say instead of going on holiday, you would go to this community and you dedicate your time to working with women in different cultural environments. So it's kind of a lot of the time right now, people travel, but they don't get the same fulfillment from traveling, especially if you go to the same resort all the time. Everything is picture perfect. Whereas if you do want to have a little bit more of a conscious traveling or ecotourism, and you do want to feel or get a fulfillment from what you do, from your time spent, so then going to a volunteering project is a very good opportunity to do that. So, and right now, I also work as part of my business. I try to help young trainers to be trained to work with women who also step in when I'm traveling around the world while I'm teaching the courses. They will be looking after my clients in London. So, and that's kind of part of that empowerment and allowing them to experience the same thing as I do. So while they're teaching, they also have an opportunity to contribute toward that fund so that they can also go out and travel and volunteer within the Women Empowerment Project.
Mm. And so has this been working with women specifically, has that been something that has evolved as well for you over the years? And what drove you to kind of put your focus on women in specific?
Yeah, thank you. Well, basically, I've been called to work with women for a very long time. So I think from the moment I decided to dedicate my life to personal training, to being in the well-being industry. But the main turning point was me coming from my childhood, and basically coming from Russia, where it's still to this day, there are a lot of things expected of women. And women put a lot of priorities on everything but themselves. So on their families, on their work, on providing, and so on. So which leads to, unfortunately, not very high life expectancy, or the quality of life is not the same. And they don't realize their potential. They put their dreams on the back burner. So, and it's not something that I wanted to follow. As my personal journey. Hence, I left home when I was 19, so in search of better life, but also through work with women as a personal trainer in my early 20s and mid 20s, I've come to realize that women do need help in realizing that self-love is not a selfish thing to do in your life. So that you cannot provide love and care and nurture for those you love if you run on empty. So, and it's kind of made it very clear for myself that I need to almost be that mirror into their face, that to show them how beautiful they are and how important their body is and how important looking after their mind, how important it is to provide time for themselves. So, and then through working with them, it also reflected back on me. So, and whenever I feel that I'm overdoing something in my life, I'm also reminding myself that what I'm preaching, I should be practicing as well. So, and it helps me to constantly go back to self-love, self-care, self-nurture. And I've noticed that the more I do that for myself, so if I have my daily routines of meditation, of practice, of choosing my nutrition, looking after my sleep and my mindset, I'm able to give so much more love to my family. So, and as a consequence, it allowed me to improve relationship with my family, with my husband, with my clients. So I feel that I'm constantly full and, abundant, and I can give so much love and care for others. So, and it's just basically when you experience something like that yourself, you just want to share with others so that they can also go through the similar or same experience as you've gone through.
Oh, I think that's the best way to teach. I think that's the only way to teach, is the wisdom of I've experienced this in my own body. And I remember when I was younger and wanting to teach coaching like things that I hadn't really gone through myself, and it didn't resonate. It didn't resonate with me. I didn't feel confident in that. It wasn't until I actually walked the path myself and saw. And then it's easy to teach and it's easy to share because I've really felt it in my body. I've seen it in my experience. And there's so much of that if we can just look back down our own path, our own journey, and not be afraid to share as it's happening and when we're close to it, because I think that's when it has the most power. But I think that's also when we can be very vulnerable as well. It's hard to share when it's fresh.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And in fact, like I had a recent, sadness in my family. My grandmother passed away just 5 months ago. And that was the period. Thank you so much. So I was feeling that I needed to shut off a little bit. But instead of just shutting off completely and not talking to people about it, I just communicated to them that it's, a very raw topic for me to talk about. And this is something that I'm processing. And yet I kept showing up. And my clients were more than I could ever think of. They're being so understanding and so supportive. And then through them showing so much love, it helped me to heal so much faster. So, and even though, it's a constant process, the grieving process is one of the most powerful experiences. But at the same time, it's such a great teacher. So, and as you said yourself correctly, once you've gone through that experience, it helps you to understand people who's walking the same path. So, and you just become so much more understanding and receptive and respectful, but also very gentle. So, and we have to experience everything that we go through. And then that's the only way that we can share. And, if you sharing, not knowing what it feels like, it's almost not authentic. Well, like you said, it's not authentic, but it's.
And I love how in Tantra and with our training in Ecuador, we really focused on that first, the healing of ourselves through that program. We didn't even get our manual for, I think, Beth and I just had a friend of mine from the second training group that was there. I don't think you met her either, but talking about, how we didn't even get the programs initially. They just wanted us to be there to experience it for ourselves. So they really focused the program on first heal yourselves through these tools. And then we'll talk about sharing it and passing it along to others and doing the chakra work. And I know you do. And so I'd love you to talk about your experience walking people through that, their own chakra healing. But for me, really going through that piece by piece and finding my own healing and things I didn't even realize I needed to heal from until I got there. And I felt like it was just so amplified in Ecuador for some reason. I don't know if it was the elevation or I think really the caliber of the healers we were working with and the work that they've done. But focusing. So any healers listening, any students listening, do the work for yourself, because that's where it's going to really shine through. And I think the chakras are a great place to guide that healing process as well. And I don't know, how do you feel?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my experience in Ecuador, and then followed by that was experience in Thailand, where, it's part of the same school. And Tantra, as you said yourself, it is about experiencing, and it's about not trying not to intellectualize your experience either, not trying to analyze it. So you go through it and you're trusting your body's intelligence and your mind's intelligence, and you're connecting to that deeper, higher consciousness. Because a lot of the times, we were raised and brought up in the society with linear thinking. And then in Tantra, they teach us about cyclical thinking. Yes, so it's all about cycles of life. It's all about experience, not intellectualizing. So if you're trying to understand something, and once you understand it, it becomes almost too flat. Yeah, so like it becomes the part of the linear experience. So if you can explain it, if you can verbalize it, it's stopping being extraordinary, it becomes ordinary. So so yeah, and a lot of that has been happening. It's like your body, your mind, everything resists against it. In fact, that's one of the things I was telling at the school in Thailand. Is I said one of the main reasons I decided to continue with my Tantra training is because normally if I go to one school or one class or type of yoga, I don't like some parts of it, or, you know, this part doesn't resonate, that part doesn't resonate. In Tantra, the whole body and my mind, everything was resisting on cellular level. And because that was happening, I thought to myself, well, that's definitely something worth experimenting and trying it out and see why I'm so resistant. And then as I completed my training in Ecuador, and then I went to Thailand, and then there were some students who just was, at the beginning of their journey, and I could see them going through the same thing I've been going through. But instead of trying to explain something to them, I just stood back and then I was just smiling, but allowing them to completely go on their own without contributing too much of what I've been going through. So, and those of them who were at a certain level of understanding, they were able to understand. Some of them left feeling that they are more in the dark than they were before, but that's okay. It's everyone's path. And that's another thing you have to respect, that everybody is on their own path and the different levels of that path. So, and in Tantra, they put a lot of emphasis on not to guide someone, not to hold their hand, but just be that gentle, a gentle guide, but not to hold their hand, basically. Yeah? So instead of telling them, this is the way, that is the way, just tell them, go this way, and let them go. So you're creating that space for them to grow and to experiment, rather than breaking it all down and giving it to them one step at a time.
Yes, I talked to another healer on the show, Katya Lovejoy, who we talked about that, not trying to take someone's pain for them, not trying to stop their pain process. So if you notice someone really hurting or feeling, and I loved how Iris really invited us to sit in that. Like if someone in the group started crying or didn't want to share when we were all sharing, and she kind of prodded them to do so. Whereas in many cases, I know in at least Western society in the United States, will say, oh, no, it's okay. Yeah, you don't have to talk about it. Or, I felt in my grief process when I lost one of my best friends, it was okay to cry those first 2 weeks. And then after that, it wasn't. And there wasn't really a lot of room for that extended grief process. And there weren't many people around me that felt comfortable enough to sit with me as I just felt that pain. And I feel so grateful now to have an extremely sensitive and caring partner who understands it, that's also on this path, that will let me just sit and cry on his shoulder and not try to stop it, not try to cover it up or sugarcoat it with something. He just lets me cry it out, and that's what I need sometimes. Because even 2 years after losing my best friends, like his birthday this year, it was so much harder than I expected it to be. I was thinking linear again. Over time, it's just going to get easier. The pain of him leaving is going to get easier. It's like, no, like I miss him just as much, if not more now, and I'm angry, and I'm but I sit with it instead of trying to change it. I honor whatever it is, and I feel that pain, because I know on the other side of that pain is the joy and the light and the love that I have for him, and that's why it's so strong and it's so painful. And there's so much power in just letting ourselves, and Tantra says that, to feel every emotion. Not one emotion is more valid than the other. And even our communication practices that we did there, being the active listener that doesn't offer your opinion on the situation or your side of the story. And I have found that communication. So when we were there, we would do exercises where we would be maybe working on the chakras, and at the end we'd have questions, or we'd have sort of not a conversation, but a communication aspect where each partner we'd be sitting face to face with a partner. We'd try to switch throughout the program, so we had different mirrors in front of us, but you would have 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes where each person had their turn to talk. And your job was just to literally listen, to be that mirror. And then when the time changed, it was your turn to talk. But your talking wasn't your mirror or your perspective on the last person's feedback and what they shared. It was, okay, now here's my turn to talk about what my experience of this is. And I found that to be so powerful because we always are putting our lens on it, our feedback. Here's my point of view on that. Yeah.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. And yes, as you said, in Ecuador, and yeah, it's part of the Tantra school, it's all about listening. Yeah, because it's one of the hardest things actually when you communicate with someone. We hear what they say, but then in our head, we're already creating an answer for them. Yeah, so instead of just allowing them to fully express, and then you can fully listen, and sometimes they don't even expect you to reply anything or to answer anything to what they say. Sometimes, as you said, we just need to be that active listener.
Mm-hmm.
And provide a space for someone to talk, to cry, to be, just to be. And there's a really interesting expression that I've read somewhere recently, that we need to remind ourselves that we are human beings, not human doings. Mm. So, and a lot of the time we just want to do, talk, act, react, instead of just be.
Mm. I love that. So what, if you do you have a 10-minute tip that anyone at home listening might be able to try today if they're on this path, they're trying a lot of different things, they're, looking at their diet, they're looking at their spiritual practices. Is there something that you found to really help your clients, 10 minutes, something people could try at home?
Absolutely. I normally recommend 3 things, but, and those things would be meditation, breathing, and affirmations. But a lot of the times people do struggle with meditation, with sitting still, or they do struggle with the affirmations because it's too powerful for them, and they find that they don't resonate with the certain words. If it's self-love, they don't feel that loving, and so on and so on. So breathing exercise, I come to realize that breathing exercise is one of those things that I can teach, and they can do it without thinking about its effect, but while it's doing its magic. So breathing techniques, pranayama, they are various techniques in yoga, but there are also lots of techniques that are offered right now by breathing specialists. So the 3 breathing techniques that I recommend would be the Veda Aveda, or alternative nostril breathing, which basically helps us to bring our body to balance. So when we breathe through our right nostril, the breath goes to our left hemisphere in our brain, which is our logical part, but it's also on the yogic perspective, our left side is our feminine side. So, and then if we breathe in through the left nostril, the breath goes to our right hemisphere, which is our emotional part. But in yogic perspective, it's our also right side of our body represents our masculine side. So basically, if we summarize everything, so the left side of our body is our emotional part, or our emotional body, and the right side of our body is our physical body. So when we do the alternative nostril breathing, we're allowing our physical and emotional parts to connect and to be at balance. So if you have 10 minutes every day, then you can do 3 to 5 minutes of the Veda Aveda, or alternative nostril breathing. And then depending what you think you need that day more, so there are 2 more breathing techniques, which is the Lunar Breath, or the left nostril breathing, so Nadi Shodhana, which helps you to calm down and to bring yourself to more of a centered being. Yeah, or if you feel that you need to help your physical body to stimulate the processes in your body, that would be the Surya Bidana, which is the right nostril breathing, when you inhale through your right and you exhale through your left. So basically, those 3 techniques could be done one after another, or you can just choose to do 2 of them, or even 1, so depending how much time you have. But to me, breath is something that I would recommend to do before meditation, instead of the meditation, if that's the only time you have, before sleeping, if you're having trouble sleeping. So the lunar breath, the left nostril breathing, is fantastic for that. Or if you feel that you had a little bit of a hectic day, or during the day and you just need to reconnect and center yourself, just sitting somewhere at your desk in the park or even on the toilet, you can focus on on those breathing techniques. And I found that they were very helpful for myself and for my clients as well.
And in honor of the show title, Yoga for Balance, what does balance look like to you?
Oh, thank you for asking, Heather. Well, the thing is, I was just recently talking to someone that I do travel a lot and I change several time zones and I travel between continents all the time. And I think balance to me is recognizing my body's needs in the right time and place. So if it's time for me, so balance is when you need to sleep, you need to sleep. When you need to rest, you need to rest. And when you need to exercise, you need to exercise. But it's about finding that balance between what you think you should be doing and what you in reality should be doing. And in order to understand what you actually need to be doing, what is good for your body, for your mind, for your spirit, is to sit with your breath in meditation calmly and to understand what you should be putting your energy and effort onto. Because just like any other human being, I tend to react when I'm tired. Yeah, so when someone says something to me or something's not going the right way, my initial reaction, just like any other human being, is to react and be very aggressive. But if I look after myself, if I sleep well, then I'm able to remember that before I react, I need to take a deep breath in and then realize if it's worth it. So, so balance to me is to recognizing what to do.
What to do, when to do. Yes.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yes, the knowing, especially, yeah, when you're traveling. Oh man, I could get so knocked off. I'm about to head out on a flight and changing time zones. So that really takes practice, I'm sure, just getting into your body and feeling it, regardless of what time it is, where in the world, and how to figure out where to get back into balance when you're all over the place.
Absolutely. And it's funny enough because last year I went to a lecture with Deepak Chopra in London. And he did say that he's traveling a lot. And he said that time zone is an illusion. He's like, there are no time zones. What are you talking about? And it's actually, once he said that, it really sank into me. And now every time I travel, I try to plan my flights and my hotel stays the way that as soon as I arrive, I'm either going to sleep or I'm about to wake up. So, and in my mind, I'm training my mind not to think about what time it is at the last location and think about what the time is here, and try to connect to the circadian clock, which is, the sun is rising, I'm up, the sun goes down, I'm down. So, and that really helped. So, and again, all comes from the mindset. So once you decide that it's the right time for you to wake up, it is the right time for you to wake up.
Oh, that's the best. No alarm. Your body just gets you out of bed. Yep, I'm rested. It's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anything else just from, the work you've done leading up to now, these recent trainings? I know you said how profound this more recent training you had in Thailand was for your perspective. Anything else you'd like anyone listening to know that's on this path, on this journey, whether they're a teacher doing these trainings as well and developing themselves as a trainer, as a teacher, or a student listening on this path?
Yeah. Well, you have touched base a little bit on the chakras, and one of the main reasons why I actually felt drawn to Tantra is because of my connection and exploration of the chakras. Yeah, so the chakras in our body. And to me, understanding the psychology of chakras helped me to realign my life and be more in my dharma and in my purpose. And basically, through Tantra, it allowed me to understand the chakra psychology even deeper. And I'm putting all of my clients through this kind of 6 weeks chakra balance course, where we go from the 1st to the 7th. And the first one is always about their physical body and their ancestors and their family relationship, their food, etc. So, and to be honest, if someone has time or desire to understand the chakra system, and the psychology, so it's not just the philosophy, but it's also the psychology and all the characteristics, and work with them, it is a life-changing experience. So I have gone through it myself. I'm teaching it to my students. I'm practicing it with my clients. And it always has the same effect. So if we start at the foundation, which is your Muladhara chakra, and then you build it up all the way to your Sahasrara chakra, you find that your body is in balance. Everything is in balance, and everything in your life is in balance. And of course, it's the balance, as you said yourself. Balance is not something that we seek. Yes, so that balance is something that we create. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we're being thrown out of balance. But if you're able to have like your toolbox of things that help you be back into your balance, then you're able to continue and recover much faster. So the chakra healing, the chakra balance journey, so working with each energy center, starting from the foundation. So a lot of the times we focus on the enlightenment, which is, the upward going current in our body, but very little time we spend on the downward current. So which is, your Muladhara chakra, so your manifestation, so your ability to realize your abilities, your ideas from being an idea, from being a thought into reality. So so that would be my tip for anyone who wants to work on transformational experience or work on self-healing, work with your chakras, with your energy centers.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I've had students, I'll take times where I'm doing that every week. I focus on starting from the roots up, and students ask for it. I think it's a really powerful way to take a look at everything going on, including the psychological, and to give people really specific things to work on and to look at, and to know, like you said, we create that balance. Of course, we may get out of balance eventually, but that's why it's important to kind of check in and to see, where am I at in this area, and could it use a little work? Maybe. And to not shy away from that, and to not have shame around that okay, there's something I could do. I think it's going back to the initial part of our conversation. It's empowering to be able to see yourselves with a non-judgmental eye and just say, okay, yeah, I could use a little love. I could use a little love in my heart. Let's spend some time there. Let's maybe add some foods in that are good for the heart. Let's maybe check in the things that we don't need in this area, and put up some healthy boundaries around that. So I completely agree.
Absolutely. And when I work with my students, I'm using the tantric approach to it, where I'm giving them the information, I'm putting them through the practices, but without breaking it down for them. Mm-hmm. So they actually have to do the work of identifying what resonates the most, mm-hmm. what they can connect with easily and what they struggle to connect with. And then they try to talk to me about it, and I'm always coming back to them saying, that's great that you identified it, now do the work. Because as teachers, the best we can do is to give them the information, give them guidance, but it's up to the students, it doesn't matter who it is in front of you, is to do their work and to be consistent with the work.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Victoria. This was a very enlightening conversation, and I hope everyone here has a chance to connect with you. Where can they find you if they'd like to find you online, on Instagram?
Thank you, Heather. It's been a pleasure. I'm mainly using my Instagram account as a social media outlet for all of the tips that I'm giving, and it's Victoria_Zimmer, Zimmer. Very easy to find.
Perfect. Well, I will be sure to link that up in the show notes at vintantra.com, as well as any other links to your websites, these amazing programs you're running, and that way anyone listening can check out the wonderful work that you're doing in the world.
Thank you so much, Heather. I appreciate that.